personally, I didn't read it as Ham is the sole reason why they lose.
Of course it does. 6 sources said Darvin Ham is the reason we suck. One of those teams that has fallen back a great deal is another one that you would look at, and that's the one with LeBron and AD. And AD's been playing out of his mind, and we'll see. Look, the Grizzlies are playing them tomorrow night in L.A., and now there's some drama. I got a report tonight saying that Davis is probable, LeBron is questionable for tomorrow night's game. And you've got this Shams story coming out today where
with Jovan Bua, Shams Charania, that was big.
Yeah. 3-8 to close out December, and they're starting off the new year dismal. And with those 3, like a couple of those are like San Antonio and Charlotte. So, I mean, they have just been in a bad, bad way. And you've got this article that comes out from Jovan and Shams. And if you read the article, I know everybody just sees the headline and then reacts to the headline. That's the way things are now, right? I do have a subscription to the Athletic.
Really? That's all that happens on social media? You just read the headlines?
Yeah. So I actually did read the article.
What a shame.
And it's way worse than the headline.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
What stood out to you from that one?
The first thing that stood out.
The top 12 things that stood out.
No, this one jumps off the page because it's like, it's a writer's way of saying, bro, like, this ain't one guy, this ain't a source tell me. Now, there could be protecting whoever is telling you this.
Is this the 6 sources?
6 sources with direct knowledge? Like, what the hell? What? How
that was funny.
6 sources with direct knowledge told us that they're raising questions about the head coach's standing. I mean,
6 sources. How often do you read that? 6 sources. The specific number never happens.
According to 6 sources, everybody is sick of Darvin Ham's rotation.
That's something in like political journalism that you see. 14 sources spoke with the Washington Post.
It said those sources have described that the disjointedness between the coach and the team has stemmed from extreme rotation and starting lineup adjustments recently from Ham, leading to a fluctuating rhythm for several players across the roster. Okay, now, I am going to tell you this. As we've said many, many times, the hardest job in the NBA is being LeBron James' coach. We know that. Everybody, the only one that's ever been able to withstand it is Eric Spoelstra, right? It's not a fun existence.
Braun was one of those 6. He did it.
Right.
He left without talking to the media that night because he was talking to them.
Well, I mean, look, they and what's crazy is this dropping I am all for Darvin Ham is not doing a good enough job. Maybe Darvin Ham, but for whatever reason, those guys are not on board with him. It is your job to keep your best players on board with you. And when you hear their reactions, it's very disconcerting anyway. They're not hiding it, right? When they're asked about Darvin Ham, they're not hiding it. I'll give you an example. I'll juxtapose it, right? So I went to that Memphis game last night, and they get beat by Toronto. Taylor Jenkins goes in there and says, this is on me. I've got to do a better job, blah, blah, blah. You go and ask the players. Desmond Bane's like, no, F that. We're players. We get paid $20 million. This ain't on him. We've got to close out on threes. We've got to make shots. This ain't right because they like the guy. They're on board with him. You go in the Lakers locker room and you say, hey, what do you think about, AR was back at the starting lineup tonight. Like, yeah, it's really hard. Nobody can catch a rhythm. And it was like, you could tell they're like sneak dissing the guy all the time. We've gotten to that point with them. And that's when you know that a coach is in trouble is when, again, you've got to have the best players on your roster on your side. That's rule number 1. Rule number 1 of being able to survive as a coach is having the best players of your roster on your side. I do find it interesting that this whole Darvin Ham thing comes out and the discontent with Darvin Ham, and because it places the blame on Darvin Ham. That team turned the ball over 22 times. They were 4 for 30 from 3. And it's not like they're shooting a bunch of contested ones. And LeBron had 12 points on 18 shots. Okay.
He had a rough night.
Is Darvin Ham's fault? What?
I mean, listen, like I think with Ham, he does
22 turnovers.
Yeah, but Ham doesn't necessarily deserve blame for that loss against the Heat. But some of the lineups that he's throwing out there, as noted in the article, with like the lineup with the 5 forwards without Reeves or D'Lo in the starting lineup with Vanderbilt, Prince, Reddish, AD, LeBron, that was dumb on the surface. Like Lakers fans were all over it as soon as it was announced. Like, really? You're doing this? Well, and it was terrible.
Here's the problem, Kev. You know, you have to, as a head coach, the NBA players want to be A, prepared, and B, know what to expect.
What
is
role.
My role? What is my role within this team? And if that is constantly fluctuating, I'm in the lineup, I'm out of the lineup. I'm in the starting lineup, I'm not in the starting lineup. I'm playing with I'm Austin Reeves, and now I'm playing with AD and LeBron. Well, now I'm Austin Reeves, and I'm playing with Joe Blow and Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes or whatever. It's like you got to and I know they've had a ton of injuries. It has made it hard. I think that is a fair excuse in order of just settling on a rotation.
Well, I mean, but Ham saying that after that game, your opponent didn't have Jimmy Butler.
Right. Well, he even excused that. He said it's easier when you down a star.
I could not believe that comment. I really cannot believe
look, I'm not here to tell you Darvin Ham's a good coach. I'm here to tell you it's bullshit for that to come out. And so his days are short.
Yeah, I mean,
it's bullshit for them to come out. They turned it over 22 times. They missed 26 of 33s. They play like dogs. LeBron doesn't guard anybody, and they get their ass kicked. And meanwhile, AD's having this amazing season, and then they leak it to Shams that Darvin Ham is the reason that they lose.
Look, I mean, I don't think anybody takes that as personally. I didn't read it as Ham is the sole reason why they lose.
Of course it does. 6 sources said Darvin Ham is the reason we suck.
Yeah, but that 6 sources said that Ham should not be the coach. Not that the team doesn't need further changes. Not that the team doesn't need to make a trade and cash in their future pick and flip D'Lo. There's more that needs to happen besides changing Darvin Ham to, I don't know.
Like whoever.
Who are they going to hire? Phil Handy? Doc Rivers? Don't take Doc from Bill Simmons. I'm loving those podcasts. Those
get
guys,
Mark Jackson. Get Mark Jackson.
Do not.
Mark Jackson.
Please
he's
go
not
ahead.
on TV.
God, Mark Jackson with the Lakers would be the funniest thing. But don't take Doc from Bill. Doc's been great with the Ringer. I'm really loving the Doc pod.
But Kevin. They can't shoot.
Exactly. So they need to make changes. They need to change the rotation. Cam Reddish, you got to pull the plug on that. I would love to see them give consistent opportunity. Say, hey, Max Christie, for the next 2 weeks, you're going to play 25 minutes per game. And we're going to empower you to shoot whenever you're open. And let's see how he does. He's a 40% guy last year in the G League. He was knocked down when he got opportunities with the Lakers. He's one of those guys that fits exactly what you're talking about, where it's like sometimes you're in, sometimes you're out. You're always playing with different guys. There's no consistency for a young player with his development. And it has not panned out for him on the court this year. But I'd like to see him get some consistent opportunity. And he played 28 minutes last night. He had 2 for 9. He was not great. But I'd like to see more chances for him because you need to play some of your shooters.
The only coach that has never been told they suck that's Coach LeBron is probably Ty Lue. I think that's it. I think that's the extent of the list in 20-something year career. Everybody else sucked.
And it's also possible.
It's a terrible job.
I know, but it's also possible Ham is just a dud.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying that's possible. It's possible. The team should not be as bad as it's been since the in-season tournament. It just shouldn't be. And I know that is in part due to player performance. But when you have Anthony Davis performing at this level.
But what is LeBron performing at? What level is he performing at?
LeBron was not great last night, but he still had plenty of other dominant games. Still had plenty of other great nights. And they're still losing games. And that's in part because of the roster. They made mistakes. We see Jaime Jaquez.
You see LeBron having a bunch of amazing nights and them losing? Really?
Yes.
That's what
he
you're
had
seeing
35 points last week, and they lost. He had 26, 8-8 against the Wolves or whatever it was the day before New Year's Eve. He's had some really good games.
They're not better than the Wolves.
But my point is that I think this team is still better than they have performed. That doesn't change the fact that they still
they've been awful.
Look.
Yeah,
I mean, of
course.
Yeah, they're
better than that.
They've been horrible. My point here is that I think they can be better than they've been with the existing roster. That part of that is on Ham and the rotations and the choices that he's making. Part of that is due to the personnel. The Lakers offseason was not as good as it seemed to be on the surface. Vanderbilt has not been very good. Prince is okay. Vincent was a waste. They took Hood Schifino in the draft when they could have taken Jaime Jaquez. They had a bunch of mistakes this offseason that haven't panned out. And we'll see what they do ahead of the deadline. They need to make changes, or else they're going to waste this year that AD is having, where he is playing absolutely unbelievable basketball. You can't waste this.
The thing that I would 100% get on board with the Lakers, number one, you have to have your best players on your side, and he doesn't have it. That's the end of that. I'm not here to defend Darvin Ham.
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly, he lost the locker room.
The Reeves thing is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You got 3 good players on that team.
Yeah, and bringing him off the bench
and they've
for
been
25
no,
points,
stupid.
20 minutes for him really doesn't make any sense at all.
You could start him at point guard and you'd be better off.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
If you want to move off the Russell thing. Yeah. Put your 3 best players on the floor.
Yeah.
And now to go back to it, that's how you lose people.
Yeah.
You lose people by moving Austin Reeves to the bench and then oh, okay, now we got to put it back in the starting lineup and just feeling like you're doing dartboard rotations.
For sure. Reversing everything that was learned at the end of last season. It's just
right.
strange. It's just so weird.
That's dumb.